Hello everyone, Alan here with the Leadership Plan. I have been absolutely glued to the television since the Russian invasion of Ukraine started, watching the horrifying conflict unfold with countless casualties on both sides and entire cities being leveled to the ground. In watching all of this, there's a really stark contrast between the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, and the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. One was virtually unknown on the world stage unless you followed US and Ukrainian politics. And the other one has been in power for almost 2 decades now. And yet there is a clear difference between their leadership style and how this is really playing out on the world stage in this conflict. In this video, I want to look at the leadership style of Vladimir Zelensky versus the leadership style of Vladimir Putin and see how leadership may have affected the outcome of the war up to this point. One really important characteristic of a leader is authenticity. And from my perspective, in consuming hours and hours of video now about what's been going on, either through news coverages or even live footage, it seems pretty obvious that Vladimir Zelensky is definitely winning this aspect of the leadership challenge between Zelensky and Putin. Zelensky comes across as completely authentic. He's the one that said, "I don't need a ride, I need bullets." He's now on the cover of magazines in the US, and he's largely praised and lauded by other countries all over the world. On the other hand, Putin seems to be sheltered in some kind of self-imposed bubble. You see these pictures of him at these long tables where he's sitting on one end and then he has like cabinet members sitting on the other end. Or you see these large staged rallies that just do not ring authentic, at least from an external observer. I do have to say that both presidents' approval ratings have shot through the roof since the war started. Zelensky was like, I think in 30% approval rating in Ukraine, and then once the war started, it shot up to like over 80% at this point. And Putin as well. Putin was facing some stiff criticism at home, and once he started the war, his approval rating has shot up. But I would say, from my perspective, from the sources of information that I have, Vladimir Zelensky seems to be much more authentic as a leader than Vladimir Putin. Communication style is also another very important aspect of leadership. And on this front as well, I have to give more points to Zelensky. Zelensky will famously walk through the city at night with like almost like a selfie stick, or he's taking a selfie video with his camera, and he's like winking to the camera, and he's telling Ukrainians it's going to be okay. There are dark days ahead, but together we will get through this. And it just is captivating and powerful. Not only that, but he'll speak to entire parliaments or the UN, and he'll get standing ovations. On the other hand, there's a really interesting clip of Putin speaking to all of his top advisors and his cabinet and his military, and basically he starts to dress down, I think it's the Secretary of Defense or the Minister of Defense or Foreign Affairs, I can't remember. Anyway, he completely dresses down this individual, bullying him and embarrassing him in front of the other people that are in this meeting because he's not answering the question of whether Russia should go to war or not as forcefully as Putin would like. So on one hand, Zelensky seems to be empowering the people that are underneath him, and Putin seems to be debilitating and bullying the people that are below him. So definitely Zelensky gets more points for communication style. As you know, as a leader, it's not enough to be authentic and have a great communication style. You also have to get things done. You have to be able to lead your organization in a direction that is a successful one. On this front, in looking at Zelensky and Putin, or just Ukraine versus Russia in this case, you can see a clear contrast between their organization style. At least the reports that I'm getting are that the US military has trained the Ukrainian military in a much more localized chain of command, so that the actual soldiers on the ground that are running small military units can make quick decisions about how to execute the mission. So they give their different military groups the mission, so they know what the mission is, but then they have to figure out how to carry out that mission in the context, and they can make quick on-the-fly decisions. On the other hand, the Russian military has a much more top-down command structure. All of the responsibility, and in fact the decision-making responsibility, resides with the very top officers. And so what happens is, and what we've seen play out, and this is why big reason why Russia has lost the first stage of this war, is that the Russian military, when it gets stuck in a situation and doesn't know what to do, it has to wait for answers from above. On the other hand, they're fighting almost a guerrilla-style war with the Ukrainian soldiers who are making quick decisions on the move. They're running around, flanking, and causing all kinds of problems for the much more rigid Russian military. This type of organization locates responsibility and accountability more to the people that are actually on the ground doing the action. That is in the case of Ukraine. In the case of Russia, it takes away authority and responsibility to those that are actually doing the war on the ground. And so what you have is you have creativity, you're fostering creativity, and you're empowering people on the Ukrainian side. And on the Russian side, you see that we have low morale, we have desertions. Soldiers don't really want to fight in some cases, apparently, because they don't really see the point, or they don't know what to do, or they're afraid. There's really a big breakdown in what the true mission is and getting the job done on the ground. Finally, I would say, as a leader, you can be one of the worst leaders in the world, but if you have execution and you can deliver and you can hit your goals, then you're probably not going to lose your job. And in this case, we have seen so far, after the first stage of the war has ended, Russia's lost the Ukraine, it's lost the battle for Kyiv, and it's now trying to push into southeastern Ukraine. We can see that Ukraine is winning the war at this point, and Russia is definitely losing. And Ukraine is greatly outnumbered and outgunned, and yet they're still able to be successful. Another result of this dynamic between Ukraine appearing to be winning the war and Russia losing the war is that Zelensky is now on the cover of magazines in the US. He is lauded by most of the world at this point as being a hero, and Putin, on the other hand, was never really seen as any kind of hero figure, but he wasn't nearly the toxic pariah that he is today. And I think that that's pretty much unrecoverable for Putin. Okay, that is what I have been thinking about recently, looking at this stark contrast between the leadership styles of Zelensky and Putin. I don't know if that leadership style is actually contributing to the success of the war. I think that it is, and I think that Russia is going to lose this war because of leadership. And Ukraine will win this war because of leadership. If you're finding something useful or interesting in this video, please hit like. It'll send it out to more people. This channel really is about me discovering my own leadership journey and creating a leadership plan that hopefully eventually I can share with everybody. And so anybody that's new to leadership or just wants to become better can get that information.